Let's continue our discussion of change of variables. So I want you to transform the summation by making the following change of variable. So the summation will be k equals 0 to 6, 1 over k plus 1. And the change of variable I want you to make will be, I want you to use j in place of k plus 1. So when you're doing a change of variables, it's important first change the lower and upper limits. So let's start with the lower limit, k equals 0. We've got to find our new lower limit in terms of j. So we're going to use our change of variable equation right there. J is k plus 1. So I'm going to plug in k equals 0 into that to get my new, this is my new lower limit. Now let's plug in our upper limit. It was k equals 6 into my change of variable equation. So my new upper limit is going to be 7. So then my summation from k equals 0 to 6, 1 over k plus 1, it's now going to become a sum from k equals 1 to 7, or sorry, j equals 1 to 7. And now I've got to figure out what goes here. If we solve for k in our change of variable equation, k is j minus 1. So we can plug that in. 1 over j minus 1 plus 1. It's the summation from j equals 1 to 7 of 1 over j. All right, now let's talk about factorials. So if n is a positive integer, then we're going to define n factorial to be n minus 1, 3 times 2 times 1. So one thing I do want to make sure to mention is that 0 factorial is defined to be 1. So let's look at a few examples of factorials. So what would 1 factorial be? It would just be 1. 2 factorial would be 2 times 1 or 2. 3 factorial would be 3 times 2 times 1 or 6, and so on. All right, so let's simplify some factorials. Simplify the following. 8 factorial over 7 factorial. Well, 8 factorial is the same thing as 8 times 7 factorial. And so now the factorials are identical, so I can cancel them out, and this will be 8. Let's simplify another one. Let's do 5 factorial over 2 factorial times 3 factorial. So 5 factorial is the same thing as 5 times 4 times 3 factorial. And I can cancel these 3 factorials. So I'm left with 5 times 4 over 2 times 1, which is 10. Let's look at another one. 1 over 2 factorial times 4 factorial plus 1 over 3 factorial times 3 factorial. These are fractions. The only way you can combine fractions is if they have the same denominator. So we're going to manipulate these and get them into having the same denominator. So I'm going to multiply the first fraction top and bottom by 3. So when I multiply by 3, this will become 3 factorial times 4 factorial. And they're almost got the same denominators now. I'm going to take that second fraction and multiply top and bottom by 4. And now they have the same denominator, so you can combine them into a 7 over 3 factorial times 4 factorial, 7 over 6 times 24, or 7 over 144. All right, let's simplify a few more of these. Let's simplify n plus 1 factorial over n factorial. Well, remember this is kind of like that first example A we did. So I can take the larger one, n plus 1 factorial, and write it as n plus 1, and then subtract 1, so it would be n factorial. And the n factorials will cancel. So it's just going to be n plus 1 that's left. Let's look at one more. Let's do n factorial over n minus 3 factorial. The larger one is in the numerator. So let's kind of repeat this idea that we did in the last one. This is n times n minus 1 factorial. The factorials aren't the same, so you're going to have to repeat this process where you reduce it by 1 minus 2 factorial. Those still aren't the same, so do it one more time. N minus 2, n minus 3 factorial over n minus 3 factorial. And now the factorials are the same, so they will cancel. And I'm left with n minus 1, n minus 2.